Hello, my name is Heran, and I'm the artist in resident slash intern here at Digital Creator North. This is part one of a two-part series. Part one is about augmented reality, and part two is 3D scanning. Today, we're going to explore augmented reality as a technology, we're going to explore it as a medium of expression, and we're going to explore all the ways in which you may have already been engaging with AR and maybe some of the ways in which you haven't yet. So I wanted to start with a little icebreaker. You can answer in your own head if you like, but I'll explain at the end what that's all about. So name the very first thing that comes to mind, just quick. Number one, who are you? Where are you? Why are you there? When do you go there, or when do you find yourself there? What does it smell like? What does it taste like? What does it sound like? What does it feel like internally or externally? What do you feel? Okay, so these set of questions, I'm assuming most people answered it by how they exist in the real world. Like, who are you? Probably said your name. Where are you? You probably said your physical location. But all of these questions can kind of be answered if you think of yourself as like a digital being or a digital character. So let's say you're a gamer and you have a certain username that you use everywhere, or even a handle, a social media handle. If I were to ask you who you are, you could answer with that digital version of existing. When we go to that next set of questions, smell, taste, sound, these seem like things in the material world, but if you can just really imagine anything you wanted, what would these answers be? So in the digital and virtual world, we exist in those spaces as well as being in the physical world. But all of these questions and ways of existing can be created. We're all creators. So yeah, that was just a play. Like, how would you go about answering these if you were a digital avatar? Say one of the little avatars you make when you're in Gather Town. How would you answer all these questions? If you go to a certain section of the room, would you answer the smell question differently? What would you say it tastes like? Anyway, these are just some exercises to really push your imagination on, just to push your imagination. So yeah, about new technology. Of course, with new tools, there's new language. I'm sure you've heard of these already. AR, VR, XR, MR, and you've probably heard of NFTs and 3D, 360, like all these short terms and stuff can get confusing. And we need language to be able to communicate with each other, especially as creators that are going to collaborate and stuff, or can collaborate. But about AR, augmented, let's just Google it. What does augment mean? So to augment something is to make something greater by adding to it, to increase. Seems pretty simple, but we'll keep going through it. So, like I said, with the varieties of different realities, we've got augmented reality, virtual reality, extended reality, mixed reality. It's like, what is the difference again? So, if we compare AR to VR, a quick difference is AR requires a device with a camera. Device with a camera. Virtual reality is when you're completely immersed in a system that you don't have to engage with the real world. Um, so that's how you know the difference. VR is like you're totally in a different world, completely immersed. AR uses both the real world and the augmented part. XR is extended reality and really just refers to all kinds of digital experiences integrated with reality in some way. People are calling it Web3 and stuff now. Um, Anyways, then there's mixed reality, less common, but it's basically a combination of like a physical experience, so say the smell of a campfire, while someone's watching um, or sitting by a campfire in virtual reality, where like they're smelling something in real life but experiencing it virtually. So that's mixed reality. But back to augmented reality. Like I said, it AR experiences require a device, a camera on your device. So what kind of devices have cameras? Like an iPad or a notepad, a cell phone, and a laptop. So we'll be sticking with these three devices. Um, some of them have front and back cameras. So I just wanted to explain augmented reality, in order to summon an experience, obviously requires a camera, but it also then requires certain technology to be able to land an item in the space or to like plaster a filter onto your face, you know? So I wanted to explain what technologies are behind making this happen. On the back camera, so sorry, this is the back camera. It uses surface mapping technology to detect surfaces in your real life environment. And the front camera uses facial recognition software to detect your face. That's actually artificial intelligence. Um, I'll show you an example. So this is Lens Studios, like Snapchat's AR creator studio. Um, all of these points are like map different points on a face, and so you can really just manipulate movement, um, kind of exaggerate those things. So these features kind of distort the the face points. And then surface mapping. So this is just to show sometimes you need to scan your phone until it can detect a surface. Now, name some apps or experiences that use the back camera for AR. Name some apps and experiences that use the front camera for AR. For example, the IKEA app, or Google search, Snapchat, Instagram for filters, obviously. So here's an experience that I use the back camera for. This is actually my own AR piece. Number 2 over there is a dog that I summoned from just Googling, I think, a bulldog breed or something. And then on the front camera, for example, that's me with the face filter from Snapchat. And number 4 is Zoom and this like green screen effect. It's arguably augmented reality because it's like, is it green screen or is it augmented reality? And I think it doesn't matter. It's both. Sorry. Try this. Google French Bulldog or any dog breed, and then hit view in 3D. So that's... Now try it in AR. This is exactly... So when you Google a French Bulldog or any breed, there's a freaking 3D option. This is in... So, creative brainstorming for AR. Ideas and concepts for your first AR design. How will people access your experience? That is the first thing you got to think about. You can create an idea in your head, but how are people going to experience it? That's called access it. do they have the right devices? Do they have what softwares or apps or whatever? Do they need internet? Like, what do they need to be able to experience this? And thinking about access is very important. Um, yeah. So you're gonna think when you're designing for AR, you're gonna think about the physical space as well as the digital space. So you're creating for two realities, but you don't have to, but this is fundamentally what you can do. So physical is your idea based on a physical location or conditions. Say you're creating something for an art piece for a store or something, and people need to go to the store to be able to scan a QR code or to summon it onto the wall in the store, and that's kind of brings people physically to a space even though you're using AR. Digitally speaking, will it be available on social media or independently on a website, QR code app, or whatever? Is it interactive? For example, like Snapchat filter games, or if it's like you can create cause and effect situations where the AR experience looks like this, but when the person taps it, it does this, or um, I'm the filter looks one way, and when you blink, or like the very famous stick your tongue out, and then that dog sound. So, for example, this is the Google Arts and Culture app. You can summon an entire gallery. So, you definitely don't need to be in a certain place in the world to experience this. They used AR to bring environments to wherever you are. Here's another example. I had a young person come in and try creating 3D art, and what they ended up creating was this piece that I turned into an augmented reality piece. And what I thought was the use of scale in the room. Follow me. This was at a gallery, and I thought it would be very fun and interactive physically to have the audience get to run through someone's creation down this like pathway thing. So that required a physical location for what I wanted the audience to experience. And then we have follow me. Augmented reality. You can start thinking about creating these interior experiences as well. Continuing where we left off, I won't be on video for this part, but so obviously this is AR and it looks really cool. I just want us to think about the value of augmented reality for this person's rug, right? Like, it's definitely cool, but you can still ask the question, like, so what? Like, how did the AR feature bring value to this person's rug? You know, maybe it's their entrepreneurial or artistic, like a product that they want to sell. For me, I see it as the augmented reality part serves as a really great marketing tool for this product. But in this case, the augmented reality experience isn't the primary or necessary function for the rug. It's like an additional cool feature. So you can always think about attaching an augmented reality experience as an extension of the value of something, like how to kind of make an experience cooler by adding AR to it, even though the AR isn't necessary or isn't the main part of the whatever you're creating. So for me, this is kind of a little portfolio or collection of different works that are all in augmented reality, but are a reflection of me as an artist and person. So after kind of understanding the concept that you want for your first AR piece, you can then go into kind of like a table of contents for these AR, and this one is called Lens Studio, and it's owned by Snapchat. And I'll give you a couple more options later on how you can work with augmented reality and what softwares you need. So if we just look at like this overview of options: face mesh, face mask, head attached to 3D objects, eye color, face liquefy. So these are all kind of pre-made experiences that you can click and then learn exactly how to apply your own style. You can add audio, something I didn't talk about yet, but audio into your augmented reality experiences. That almost arguably makes it mixed reality, doesn't it? Then there's 2D. And now we can look at some templates. So something as simple as adding sunglasses that you want to maybe customize later. This is sort of what the Lens Studio looks like, part of it. If you wanted to add a face in a picture, so that's 2D, right? Face painting. Here's hand gestures. This is even a whole other level. But if a person puts, the peace sign up in their camera, then you can create an experience that happens. If they put one finger up, then something else happens. So interactivity is another aspect of augmented reality, where you give the user some control over their experience. So here are 4 different kinds of studios you can begin working in. Spark AR is again owned by Facebook or Meta. Lens Studio is owned by Snapchat. Then there's Unity, and then Adobe Dimensions, that's the 3D one, but Adobe Aero is the AR studio. And I use these the most, because I work with 3D. I create 3D objects or environments using a virtual reality headset, and then I import those to augmented reality usually. And so I'll show you. I've done a whole bunch of stuff in AR just through my phone, and this is the Adobe Aero app. So I'll show you an example. That right there is my logo in 3D, and I pull up this tab. So it's like, see that tap? I'm basically deciding what happens when the person taps the object. Look at this list. I can make the object then do whatever I want. So spin, bounce, aim, show. Okay, I did bounce, I guess. And then you can then decide how high up it bounces, how many times it bounces, etc. So there's quite a bit of options in terms of what you can create, what interactions or movements or animations can be applied to a 3D object. So even to start, if just doing it on your phone seems more approachable, then I would suggest downloading Adobe Aero. That's AERO, yeah. Include here to show just a few pieces of, I guess, a growing portfolio of AR works and some of the ways that I've been exploring AR as a medium. One of them is that one. Let's go to Car Collector. So that right there is actually 3D scan. of a toy car, and I just re-summoned it in augmented reality. We'll talk about 3D scanning in the following workshop. So remember, this was 2-part, and the next one will be all about 3D scanning. So you'll see exactly how what I did to turn this a real life toy car into almost a life-size augmented reality one. It's kind of like Pokemon if you think about it. At the bottom there's this Afrofuturism hut, and my concept with that was like I wanted this hut to be like a portal where, you know, from the outside it might look like, you know, some stereotypical African hut or something, but really when you enter, as soon as you enter into it, it's like a portal that takes you into some kind of futuristic experience. And then that True Life is Rigged piece, that was a bit of an exploration on, you know, the 3D avatars, the future of 3D avatars, who we are as avatars, my relationship to, I guess, Christianity, because this show was held in a cathedral, so I wanted to kind of speak to that experience, like my relationship to that, and just some of the principles of 3D animation and design, where there's something called, so let's say you have a 3D character, and you want them to be like an animated character. You need to first design the character in something called a T-pose. So that T-pose pretty much looks like the exact same pose of like Jesus Christ on the cross type of thing. So once you get a 3D model into that pose, you can then do something called rigging it, which adds these skeletons, and then it can then be like an you can then make it do things, move, animate, like with, I don't know how to explain it. It's just animating a 3D character. So it's just this concept of kind of dying to come alive again. And as a bit of a play on the Shroud of Turin, and the fabric I decided to use was 3D print material. So yeah, I'll just leave it at that. But then all the way on the left, this was I think probably Canada's first ever augmented reality only exhibition. I called it Invincible Art, with AR in brackets for art. And I was in an artist residency for 6 weeks at this physical gallery this past summer. And for the first 4 weeks, I invited artists to come and try virtual reality so that they could, you know, create 3D art pieces, or just see what it feels like to make art in 3D inside a virtual reality headset. And so I did that with probably over 50 artists over the 4 weeks, and finally all of the works were exhibited in an AR format. So it was like the gallery space was physically empty, which probably was confusing for people on the outside, but there were these QR codes set up in different sections where it would launch, you know, you could launch a few art pieces at a time and then go engage with them, and they were almost all interactive. So yeah. So yeah, I guess I'm just wrapping that up as just to show you that this medium isn't limited to anything that, like, there's no wrong or right. There's just so many options, and it's up to you to kind of figure out ways to represent yourself in them, or represent others, or explore ideas, explore yourself. You can be exploring your identity or questions you have about life or anything else. Or even just build skills in this technology. Like, there's no wrong reason to get into it. And it's really awesome because I think in this, using augmented reality, it requires a lot of integrating experiences and thinking about how to integrate many things into one place. So that's really good practice, and as long as you think you're a creative person, I think you'll do great. So again, check out, I would suggest to use Lens Studio or Spark AR. They're both free. Oh, and system requirements, I forgot. So this is a critical point of access. It Some of these softwares don't work on people's computers. The software developers are like adding and developing it so fast, like almost every day over time, and it's beginning to require your computer to have like certain level of, yeah, like system requirements and stuff. Um, so that's just like the first step in exploring where you can begin with augmented reality. And of course, if you have any questions, or maybe if we need to figure out a way around this, feel free to reach out to me, or we can see what ways you can maybe collaborate with someone that has the access to the studio. If you kind of come up with the concept and stuff, then you can maybe collaborate with someone to do like the technical part. So I think that's a really good idea, actually, just to start. But yeah, like feel free to reach out to myself or anyone at Digital Creator North about any barriers to access that you're facing, and we can kind of figure some things out together. And of course, everything's changing about these technologies almost every day, so we'll just have to see when that time comes, what we can do, how we can adjust, and how we can get you into using this medium. And I'm excited to see what happens, so please share with me any of your works, concepts, or questions.